11.
But not with the E. Levin.
Levin. This is in front of me Mr. Ben Levin. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome in Belgium. What many people know or don't know, it's a piano player in front of me. And that's why I will start with the next sentence. Don't shoot the man in front of me. Don't shoot the piano player. You are from Cincinnati?
That's right.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
You are in Belgium, a small country, famous for his beers, fries and waffles, but as I asked you before, I don't think that many of the musicians know Belgium in another way. Is that correct though?
Yeah.
Were you informed Belgium is a small country, 3 languages and all the problems that we have? No?
Not really, no.
No, we have 3 languages and a very difficult system in Belgium. But Ben, when did you know or did you decide that you wanted to be a musician? Was it because of your, what I call your environment, or special examples or men that you like to be like them?
My father's a musician.
Oh.
He plays guitar.
So it was the family.
Yeah. So I've been watching him play shows since I was, this high. And ever since I was a kid, seeing him on stage, it's inspiring. It's a beautiful thing. And so it's something that I always wanted to do. And when I was 11 years old, he started having me sit in with his band, and I would play about 20-30 minutes and then go home, because that was about.
But then you are already playing piano.
That's right. I started taking
you
lessons.
You have never done it like your father, choose for a guitar? Or?
I tried to, but I could never get my fingers right. The piano just more natural for me.
But by the piano, because of specific things that you have more than name a guitar or harmonica or.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I love about the piano still is everything's all laid out in front of you. With the guitar, I was trying to see, okay, wait a minute, I'm plucking this string and this note.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it right, but the piano is accessible, if that makes sense. And we had it upright in our home, so I was always able to fiddle around with it. And when I saw the movie Ray when I was a kid,
Ray
Charles.
Ray Charles,
I asked my parents if I could get lessons, and so since then I've been hooked.
I always thought that the piano has less possibilities than the guitar. You can slide, you can pick. You're saying the.
Well, you could look at it like that, or the flip side. Everybody wants to be a guitar player, so there's more opportunities on piano. So it just depends how you look at it.
Yeah. Are there other musicians that you look up to? You named Charles, but Ray Charles, but are you other influences?
Yeah, well, blues piano. Otis Spann is the king. We all look up to, but there was a local piano player in Cincinnati. His name was Big Joe Duskin. He was a big influence on me.
Big Joe.
And of course, New Orleans piano, Professor Longhair, and Alan Toussaint, and Dr. John. And I've always been a fan of the West Coast guys like Amos Milburn and Charles Brown, Floyd Dixon. There's so many greats.
Yeah. You're not only a piano player, but also a singer.
That's right.
And also very important, a songwriter.
That's correct.
Yeah. Is a songwriting, is that a difficult matter or a difficult task for you?
I enjoy it. I mean, it can be a challenge, but a lot of times I co-write tunes with my father.
Oh.
And so when the two of us get together, maybe he'll feed me a song title or a hook, and then I'll try to fill in the gaps around that.
You can do it on command? No.
No, not on command. No, it takes time.
And it takes time. It's not so that you have something in your head and you say, okay, I write it down and a few notes or and.
Sometimes, yeah. It just depends. I mean, sometimes like we'll schedule a recording session, and it's almost like cramming for an exam. I said, okay, well, I better write some songs before I go into the studio, and stay up a couple weeks before and just write like crazy.
It are always piano songs, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Songs where the piano is leading.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
And the result until today is 4 albums, I think.
That's right. That's right.
And one of the albums, like I said, I wrote a review. I was impressed, let me say it this way. Ben, if you are young, but if you meet something also young, what is your advice for him? What would you advise him as a young singer-songwriter? What's your advice for him?
To listen to the masters, and for me the greatest thing has been having older mentors in blues who have guided me and showed me the way. So if there's any musician that you look up to and you get a chance to meet him, do it. And
what does your father tell you about your albums, about your work that you deliver? What are his comments?
Well, he's on the guitar, so he's biased too.
Oh,
But,
he's involved.
Yeah,
He's involved, yeah.
And we love playing music together. When I'm in Cincinnati, I play the majority of the gigs with my dad on the guitar, and so sharing the stage with him and going into the studio, it's like it's a very special bond. It's like best friends.
That's fine to hear.
Yeah.
You were 17 when you released your first album. That's correct?
Yes.
The album got the name Ben's Blues. What's the definition of the Ben's Blues? You have a typical thing that is Ben's Blues?
It's tough to define, but like my style of blues it's got elements of Chicago blues, and like I said, West Coast swing, and take a lot of Cincinnati influences, like I mentioned, Big Joe Duskin, and of course I'm always trying to represent and talk about King Records, which was a Cincinnati label in the 50s and the 60s. So I tell people blues, as you know, it's such a wide bag, and there's so many different styles, and I try to pull from each corner,
Your past.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your last album. No, your latest album. What's your last?
Still
the
Here.
latest.
Yeah.
What's your last album? Still Here. It's a bit double meaning.
Yeah.
What do you want to say with Still Here?
Yeah, that was a really special album. Like I said, my father and I are so close, like my best friend, and in 2020 he came down with COVID-19 and was in the hospital for 6 weeks.
Oh yes, he survived.
He survived, but it was very close and very scary.
Oh.
And when he came out of his coma, and I was finally able to visit him again, because the hospital was locked down. All he was talking about was music, and he wasn't even walking yet. So music is what drives him and drives me. And so he was saying, Ben, we got to get back into the studio. I've got song ideas, and so the album is really
Very personal.
very personal, and it's a tribute to him and
a bit
his
of a tribute,
So the title track Still Here is about mine and my
The
father's
relation
experience.
between,
Yeah.
Great. Do you have plans for a new album, or
Yeah,
you're working on a new one?
looking to release it this fall, and this will be a different style.
Will it be a different one or a new?
Yes, it would be a lot of different special guests. So I had a concert series at the Hard Rock Casino in Cincinnati where I was able to bring in some guests from out of town. So the first guest I brought in was legendary bass player Bob Stroger. And when he came into town, we did a recording session, which was such an honor for me to work and record with him. And then we had the blues singer, Little Jimmy Reed, come into town. And so we did a session with him and Johnny Bergen, and lastly, Lil Ed Williams.
Okay.
So the four of them are guests on the album.
And the name of the album is still...
I can't say just yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. Where do you want to be in, let's say, 10 years? Do you have plans? Do you say, okay, I have that way to go, or I want to be, of course, a big star, I know.
Yeah, well, as long as I'm still...
Or do you have a bucket list? A bucket list, yeah. And you say that are things I surely want to do once.
Well, I'm still a student at the University of Cincinnati studying history.
Young guy.
So I love history, and in the next 10 years I'd like to get my PhD and be a professor. So that's one of my goals. But no matter what I do, I want to make sure that I
You want to
continue
teach
to play music.
yeah.
And because I love history, but I love music, and still trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between my two passions.
You don't have problems with the things that happens at this moment. You have in Europe, you have the war in Russia, Ukraine. You are not afraid for getting older.
I mean, it's a crazy time we're living in. I think, like you said, with the war and the pandemic, but just try to keep my head on straight and be as safe, careful as I can be. You know.
You're going to have a show here in Swing Wespelaar. Who's on stage with you today or tomorrow? No, today.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So who will be on stage with you?
So it'll be tenor saxophone player Joe Poling, traveled with me from Cincinnati, drummer Cole Baker, and then a guitar player from France is filling in for my father, Anthony Stefsmack. And so I played with Anthony before, so I'm excited to work with him again.
Yeah, okay. And I think you set up the set list. What are you going to play, if we may know that?
Yeah, well, I'll be doing
what's going on in your head when you write down the songs, and what are you going to play? So that's...
I try to think of, I just pull out my 4 CDs and try to do a couple tunes from each, you know, and you know, when I work at home, typically I don't work with set lists, but for festivals and bigger shows, I like to be organized, so I'm not sitting there in between songs going, scratching, you know.
The French guitarist has to know what he has to
exactly.
play. Okay, I understand.
But I, you know, try to showcase, like I mentioned before, all the different styles of blues, Chicago shuffle or a Cincinnati, you know, King Records type swing, or you know, a New Orleans.
A good mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a last question, Ben. What did you learn about yourself by being a musician? I always ask that question when I meet a musician. What did you learn about yourself by being a musician, playing for people? Did you learn something?
Yeah, boy, a lot of things. I guess from being a musician, the main thing I've learned is following the advice of elders, because you know, in blues, of course, our heroes that are still with us are in their 70s and 80s and in their 90s and
20s like you, young musician.
Yeah, so I just try to absorb as much knowledge as I can from the elders, and to me that hasn't led me wrong yet. So.
Okay, Ben, thank you lots for your time. That were my questions, and thank you also for your wonderful music.
Well, thank you.
A lot, man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.